We got Mike and myself here today, Don LaPlume, and we are going to get into some great stuff in the charts. Remember today, like every day, this is just us charting and documenting our journey, sharing the information with you. But this is not financial advice. We're not making recommendations. We're just showing you what we're doing and how we're learning Forex and turning $250 into $1 million. And I don't know how long that's going to take, but I do know it's going to happen. So with that, Mike, you were just saying there's some interesting stuff that you just saw. And so why don't you share first?
Okay, I will share that right now. And I do want to also just briefly expound upon a comment that I made the other day, just depending on who is listening and the way that it's interpreted. I just want to clarify it. I had made a comment saying, and I don't even know what I'm doing while I was talking about it. So what I meant by that, just to clarify, is in the grand scheme of things, there are people who have been doing this for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. They're institutional investors. They spend 80 plus hours in this, sometimes a week, sometimes even more. But at a bare minimum, they have about 20, 30 to 50,000 hours, arguably, in some of this stuff that they've been living this for years. So in comparison to them, I don't know what I'm doing. In comparison to the average person, I am extremely well versed and well on my way. So I just want to clarify that statement because I was saying it in the grand scheme of things, but after I ended the podcast, I was like, that could be interpreted two different ways. And if I was listening, I'm like, well, wait a minute, what's this guy talking about? So just wanted to clarify so that everyone knows where I'm coming from. And
no, and well said. And you've learned a ton. I mean, I know you have because I've seen all kinds of different stuff that you shared. So, but go ahead, man. Show us what you were talking about.
So I'm going straight to the news, but one quick thing, just because it's happening live right now.
Okay.
So there's a 4-hour play on Euro USD, and it was from here. It already came down and hit TP1. I wanted to take it down to TP2. I was not in it. I did get in on one at the front wall, but I'm also waiting for it to get back to the entry point again.
Okay.
And seeing if it comes back down off the entry. So that's something that I'm actively monitoring, but this is what I wanted to show you. Okay, so when we go here, this is the news for the day. And again, we talked about this. This is how we start. This is how I start my day. This is how I actually end my day too. I see what's coming up the next morning. I just go in and take a look at the following day. So for example, I'd go here at the end of the night and look at what's coming up tomorrow and what I care about in the pairs that I trade. So this is interesting to me at 8:30 in the morning. This is interesting to me. They're yellow folders, but I'm still curious because I trade the euro. So this is just information I want to take a look at tomorrow. But for today, so we have these numbers right here, which is good for the euro. Again, yellow folders, so not earth-shattering, but just stuff to note. German 30-year bond auction stayed pretty constant. Trump speaks. That's becoming almost a daily occurrence right now, so we always have to listen in on that. This is what I wanted to talk to you about. So let's look at these numbers. Empire State Manufacturing Index. Now, first of all, what is it and why do we care?
Huge increase.
Okay. Yeah, exponential. And this is why I wanted to pay attention to it. Okay, so what is it? Let's just take a look here. And I'm going to use just anyone can do this by going to it. So the source is from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Okay. And basically, it's a survey of 200 manufacturers in New York State, which asked the respondents to rate the relative level of general business conditions that they're seeing. Okay. Now, why do we care as traders? Because it's a leading indicator of economic health. Businesses react quickly to market conditions, and a change in their sentiment can be an early signal of future economic activity, such as spending, hiring, and investment. All right. So this is why we care. Now let's look at the numbers. Previous, let's go to last month. 7.1. The forecast was 4, supposed to drop, and went down to 0.2, negative 0.2. For that, 7.7. Forecast was down to 6.4. It was up at 7.1. Okay, we can kind of see what's going on here. Okay, we're able to take a look at it. I don't need to read all the numbers. You can see it. But as you can see, the last time we were up that high was right here in November.
Yeah. Okay, but not only was it that high, but the forecast was way above what was forecast this time.
Right, which is what happened here again too.
Oh yeah, well, it was way up, but I mean, we were forecast at 0.3 and we hit 11.
Right. So the
There,
things that,
one.
yes. So the things that stand out to me as someone is, I don't see the forecast off by this much on most numbers.
No.
But I am seeing a trend here. So we're off by 4. We're only off by, let's call it 1. We're off by 7. We're off by, let's call it 5, 6
Okay.
almost.
6.
We're off by 12.
Yeah.
Okay. So closing that out, we're off by 11.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Okay. So then that starts in my mind going as to what causes that. What are some of the major players in this? So this is something that I was just briefly looking at this morning. And again, too, this is just a general article, and I'm not sure I 100% agree with all of it, but here's what I mean. One of the things, analysts had anticipated a modest rise in the index, but forecast pegging the number at 0.3. However, the actual figure far surpasses.
Oh, it looks like we lost Mike, but his screen is still up. You still there, Mike?
Expectations, indicating a.
Hey, Mike, we're losing your audio pretty bad. Mike? All right. Well, while we're waiting for him to come back, so he was talking about, he's reading through this a little bit.
Yeah, it'll come back in a.
There you go. There you go.
You hear me all right?
Now I do. Yeah, you completely went silent for a while.
Yeah. No idea why. But whatever. Bottom line is, okay, this is the whole point of me showing this article. Okay, y'all can read. I don't need to read it to everyone in my years down in Myrtle Beach just came out with that, y'all. But bottom line is, if you take a look at it, all right, it's a big jump.
Yeah.
So my mind says, what's driving it? All right. And the article states that it does create a favorable economic outlook, that people are expecting things to get a lot better, which is a good sign for the dollar. Also, I think a lot of people right now, and this is actually one of the things I do want to actually, before I even make this comment, they typically tell you, let me see if this tells us here. Next release, May 15th. Released monthly around the middle of the current month. Nope. I wanted to see, sometimes it tells you it's like 11 days late. You know what I mean? The information comes out 11 days after the fact. This one doesn't. So this one seems like it's pretty current, which would make more sense to me. Because 11 days ago, there was a lot, especially with the Strait of Hormuz and how much was the U.S. going to be involved and threats that were being made back and forth. And then what does that mean for all of us? And I think that emotionally, a lot of people had confidence and a lot of people were scared to death. It really depends on how they operate on a daily basis. But the bottom line is those two different states of mind create a lot of volatility and scarcity. In the scarcity mindset, and a lot of people, that's what people are attracted to. They're attracted to the drama, the negativity. And when people are unified in a negative force, it's one of the strongest forces in the world. And it's scary. So, but bottom line is that's reality. So what this indicates to me is, number one, and it didn't mention this in the article, but with what's going on, not only with the Strait of Hormuz, but what we have going on down in Venezuela and what's going on in general, people are, let's say, bullish on where things are going, and especially for the dollar. Okay. So I think people are bullish on that. People are starting to get more comfortable with the way they're starting to see it end, especially now that we basically have a chokehold on Iran with what's going on in the blockade. So, and we didn't have to resort to nuclear weapons.
Boots in the ground.
Exactly. Even more importantly. And the other thing too is that people are also seeing now too what just happened with the space, with what we just did in space. That was a big deal. And we kind of briefly went over that, but that was a big deal. And what's happening here is, and people don't see this, but people need to be paying attention to it. First of all, we have other things economically that are going to be huge. SpaceX and XAI all joined together. Yeah. And so there's actually 3 major companies there. And those three major companies about to have the largest IPO in history.
Yes.
All right. It's going to make a lot of people rich, but not only is it going to make a lot of people rich, a lot of those people have to be institutional investors. But what people aren't thinking about is who are the companies that they need to succeed.
Yes.
And there's 3 to 4 companies right now, especially with regards to SpaceX, that are absolutely essential to everything they do in different sectors. And that is going to be how people make a killing. And that's going on. And those are all US based companies. Okay. Number 2, the other thing I wanted to point out, solar power is great. I sell it. I love it. I'm all good with everything that it does. However, it does not have, especially on the moon, where if they're talking about using solar power on the moon, one of the things that happens is, did you just lose me again? Or am I still here?
No, you're still here. You dropped off just for a split second.
Okay. What's happening on the moon is, I'm not sure if people are aware of this, but where we're talking about going, there are 2 weeks of sunlight and then 2 weeks of darkness. Well, yes, we need a lot of battery storage for that, but that's 2 weeks of consecutive darkness. So there's been a talk for a while about nuclear power and building small reactors and building up smaller solutions that can provide exponential power. And that industry is really got a big boost right now and has a lot of support in Washington. So again, a lot of that too is the US trying to focus on energy independence. And I expect to see a lot in that sector as well, which you're starting to see in the news a lot more. And you've heard people talking about it, but it's stuff that people need to be paying attention to, because it's all stuff that's, when it comes back, the people need to be getting those sources and that information from the US. Only going to help our currency. So I think there's a lot going on with with the war and how we're able to demonstrate that what we're able to do. If you saw Trump's post today, Trump said that he's doing this for China and others with the Strait of Hormuz, and that when he goes to see Xi in a few months, a few weeks, that Xi's going to give him a big hug for what he's doing for China.
Yeah, I love the way he phrases stuff, because he's just raw and he's just himself. He's funny, but keep going. Sorry, I mean,
no. That's all I'm saying. Is I'm saying when something goes from linear to exponential, there's something that's been going on. It doesn't just happen overnight. And this might have been behind the scenes, or something was realized, or stuff started coming to light. And I think this is a strong indicator. I also think on the manufacturing side, with everything that's been ordered in terms of the military, that's only going to enhance manufacturing as well in many industries. Because that a lot of people don't realize too is, like, let's say I worked for a company years ago that made a piece for like the F-16s. They made one piece. That's it. And people don't realize there's all these manufacturing plants out here that have specialties that make certain things and do certain, and it only helps enhance them and their bottom line by them producing that. It's not just a thing goes and it's all manufactured and they get the parts from one place and this place takes it and it's assembled. It comes in from all different types of manufacturing plants, and it really can have a massive, massive domestic impact. So I think that's what's going on here. And just thought I'd share that information because that directly correlates to what I would expect to see on the dollar and the euro. But
before you go there, I do want to just add a little bit to what you said. Please do. Because you're spot on with everything that you talked about. By the way, the last piece that you talked about with working with a company that they made one piece from the F-16, that's strategic, because they don't. The government doesn't want to have all the parts made in one location, because then that company knows everything about that particular, let's say, airplane in that example. So they spread it over a lot of different manufacturers, makes it much more difficult for espionage. But the other thing, when you look around, you can't help but to be bullish if you're really honestly paying attention and open, because, and you talked about XAI and SpaceX and what they're doing. That's huge. When you think about the success that Elon Musk and his companies have had, and now he's talking about putting AI into space, meaning he's going to use the Starlink to transmit data up and down, but he's literally going to be putting satellites in place that are going to be powered by solar, so we don't need the electricity from the earth, which is a huge concern with AI and AI compute, where we have to draw the power from the grid right now, or from whatever is created in a particular area. And there's plants that can't open, or AI facilities that can't open. They're not even breaking ground on some because they can't get enough power to that location to run it. Right?
Yep.
We definitely have some holes in our power generation right now, and there's some different things we're doing to fix that. But that's a whole side piece, which actually goes into our business, which is great. But when you talk about what Elon's doing in space with AI, that's going to be huge, because he's going to not only is going to be able to do the compute at a much lower cost overall once it's operating, but he's not going to be draining resources from the globe, which is absolutely huge, and it's going to allow him to exponentially grow that. So I do believe he's going to be the AI winner when it comes down to, in Grok in particular, when it comes down to overall compute and who owns that market and really grows the business. But the other thing I want to comment on is same companies go to Tesla for a second, because Tesla is now rolling out I think they're about 600 Cybercabs that are now on the road. But they just opened up a plant that is going to be producing millions of those, and they did it in a whole different way. See, everybody's watching this stuff. Everybody that's in business, we're watching what he's doing. And it's not just Elon. There's other companies doing some pretty wild stuff. But the way we're looking at manufacturing, the way we're looking at how we accomplish things is changing rapidly. I'm looking at the Optimus robot as an example, and you and I talked about that. But I can't wait. We're looking at getting several of those for a couple of our companies, and because they can literally, at a cost of, think about it, $20,000 to $30,000 a piece, and they can replace. Now, there's a pro and con in this, but they're going to replace the people that we would have hired to do those jobs. Now, those jobs right now are very difficult to fill. I can tell you that, because I've been trying to fill some of these and looking for the right people. It's very difficult. So to be able to go and purchase a robot that's going to be able to do that exact position and a whole lot more, and basically work 24/7, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Think about the productivity change that's about to happen. It is going to be massive.
And again, too, like, I remember a former company I was with that was not like doubling down on AI. I had said at the time, I said, this is bigger than the internet.
Yes.
Because the internet was connectivity and knowledge, and it did change the gap from the rich and the poor, where knowledge was no longer the gap between the rich and the poor.
Yeah.
It became the prioritization of information and how you handle it. And it's still a shocking number. You'd think that how much of the world still doesn't have internet, which is where Starlink and other things come into play.
Yeah.
And I think the Zeta project that we have, but there's other stuff that come into play with that. But what people don't, I think, realize is, not only is, if you think about it, right, and when the Industrial Revolution happened, and I'm not going to go on a big tangent here, but just to be quick, as to taking manual labor and mechanizing it, where you have systems and mechanizing it. Yes, there was exploitation of children and stuff. It was different times going on. But the bottom line was, if you look at it from the big picture, the individual man hours and speed were a single person. Think of it like manpower, like horsepower. Okay, so the manpower, if it takes 500 manpower to weave a blanket, or to do whatever, to weave a textile that's then going out, but a machine can do 1,000 of them in 4 hours. That's an exponential increase on production. And now the need for people goes to more of a making sure the system's running correctly, is fed correctly, working correctly. And I think with AI, it's going to be very similar. It's going to be making sure that the instructions are optimized, that making sure that the quality control is there. It's going to be less of the actual doing of those things. And I know a lot of people are fearful, and I kind of just say this: if you're fearful because your job's about to get taken away, well, pivot now. Start pivoting now. Like, do what you're doing. But if your industry is already earmarked as going away due to AI, it's because it already exists and it's already being tested. It's not hypothetical. It's not maybe. It's a definite. And this is what happens with evolution. It's not a bad thing. Okay, it could impact anyone. It's just it's a good thing.
Go back to 1960. There's a gold cell alert. But go back to 1960 for a minute. 1960, the jobs that existed then, how many of those don't exist today?
Right.
And in fact, 40% of all jobs today didn't exist in 1960. You're going the other way, right? So what that really means is that this is just a transition. It's a transition of how we work, how we earn, and how we produce. And now we just have more tools instead of a potato, a simple hand potato peeler. Now you've got machines doing it, right?
And even think of it like one very simple example that I like to think of is this: if you've ever built anything, okay, let's say you've watched someone build a house.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the time it took to screw in every screw manually with the wrist and just doing it and a hammer and nail, compared to nail guns, drills,
and the
power tools that we have. Yes, it's like, and sawzalls and everything, circular saws, everything, all this stuff. It's just improvements, and it's part of what happens. And so again, I don't need 80 guys on a job site hammering.
Right.
It's basic labor. I need 5 guys that know how to operate a nail gun, for example, and that are accurate and that are good. And then someone goes around and so does a quality control check. It's just a evolution. Okay, people got to stop being scared and stop trying to have this scarcity mindset, acting like this bad thing is happening. No, this is great. This is expected. This has been written about in science fiction for years. Science fiction often on a lot of things gets a lot right, no, not quite yet. But bottom line is, there's a lot of great things that are coming, and people need to embrace it and learn how to use it now. Like not yesterday. Yesterday's gone. Now you need to learn and you need to adapt.
I was one of the things, and I know we want to get to the charts here,
yep.
But one of the things that I do a lot of, and in fact, this past Saturday, I did another training for a group of people on AI, and that's always a big topic of conversation because we help introduce AI to companies and to teams, and then help them to build it out with one of our partners, and it's a pretty powerful thing. But any company that's out there, if you're not utilizing AI today, you're going to end up competing with somebody who is, and they're going to win because the productivity is just it's astronomically different. I do so much when I'm driving. I was driving to I was telling some friends I was driving to West Lebanon a few days ago. This was end of last week, and when I was up there, as I was driving up there, I'm talking to Grok and creating an entire plan and strategy for the next development of what we're releasing for our company, one of my companies, and it's amazing the conversations that you can have and how it thinks it through. You can have it double check itself. It just normally I'm driving and I'm focused on there and maybe I'm listening to a book, right? Because I love listening to audiobooks, business books, biographies, all kinds of stuff. But now a lot of times I'll still do that, and I still do a lot of reading, but that just to be able to have that conversation and strategize and build out a whole plan while I'm driving, I couldn't do that before. And very soon Like my next vehicle, I can tell you is going to have FSD, full self-drive. Why? I love driving, but I really love being productive. And I
And do
can,
you not think that, sorry, I was going to say, do you not think the cars will start having integrations with your AI as well?
well, they already do.
Because, right, but I mean, you have the ability to not be, people don't get this too. Talk about a safety enhancement.
Mm,
You don't need to be looking down at your phone. You are looking at the road, having a verbal conversation back and forth,
yes.
asking it to produce documents and information when you're done. I do this all the time. Yesterday, I was like, here's what I'm trying to do. I want to do this. Help me put out a plan. Okay, well, what's your close? My close rate's this. The amount of people I'm contacting is this. Here's what I want to do, but I don't want to hit that number. I want to kill it. So here's where I want to be. What's my daily thing? Okay, now help me do my schedule. You know my schedule. So tell me how I can do this within my existing schedule. What hours should I be? It structured out a plan for me to do everything I want with my existing schedule that fits perfectly into my day.
Isn't that
It is
all?
it's ridiculous what it can do. And that's, people don't, again, it's like I think people don't have a clue of how beneficial it is just for, and that whole time, by the way, if I'm driving, eyes on the road. I'm
Yeah,
just having a conversation. I don't need to
exactly.
look at anything. You're
No.
just having a conversation back and forth. And by the way, Don, I want to share this tool with you. This is a paid tool, but it's like I paid one time for the year.
Mm,
But Russell Brunson actually put it together because he bought, like, I think I might have mentioned something about it once before, but he bought Jim Rohn's entire,
yeah,
sorry,
you did mention that.
Napoleon Hill's library. But let me tell you one of the things that I could do in mastermind sessions. Napoleon Hill, Charles Hannell, Owen Sweat Martin, Elise Lincoln Benedict, Earl Nightingale, Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn, Maxwell Maltz, Albert Hubbard, Russell Conwell, Dale Carnegie, P.T. Barnum, Robert Collier. See some of the other names you might know. Andrew Carnegie, Wallace D. Waddles, Emil Coy, let's see, George Clayson, Ralph Waldo Emerson. I can create a mastermind with all of them. I ask it a question, I can put a mastermind together and get them each to weigh in, or whoever I want. I can select certain ones. If I'm working on an issue, I have access to a bunch of their information and I don't need to go look it up or search it. I just start having a conversation, asking them for their input on how to best approach something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is absolutely fascinating to me, that I can take this information. And if you guys have ever read Think and Grow Rich or The Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill, he talks about a roundtable mastermind that he used to have. And he had people that he respected or had qualities that he respected that he thought could benefit him, such as Napoleon Bonaparte, such as Lincoln, and others. And he talked about how they developed their own personalities and funny things they did at the table. But he used to go to them for ideas for a mastermind. And these are people, some of them were living, some of them were gone. We have the ability to, if you don't have the imaginative power or you don't, whatever, just use these resources that are available to you. You can create this.
It's insane. So that's one of the things I teach in my class.
Yeah.
And actually, this Saturday we're doing the AI Mastery. It's a 202. So if you haven't done the first one, you can't be in this Saturdays. But we're going to be doing the initial one again soon, probably in another 3 weeks, I think it is. But that's one of the things that we teach. Not only what you just talked about, so which is a great tool because that's already put together. I put together my own mastermind just like that with a lot of those same people. And how do you do it? I mean, think about it. I love the fact that that's already done, so
Yep.
I don't have to go and create it. But I create groups of call it brains. I mean, you got all of these people that have done what we want to do. Usually, if somebody has been very productive, they've accomplished great things. There's a lot that they've written.
Yep.
There's whether it's books, whether it's audios, whether it's video, all this content. So we can feed all of that content in to an AI system, and now that it's there, it's sitting there. Now, a lot of these already have them, by the way. All right, if you think about it, a lot of this data is already in things like Grok or Anthropic and et cetera. But how easy would it be to say, hey, look, and feed this information in. That's what we do. That's one of the things that we do. But for any profession you want, think about who the top people have been in that profession. What have they written about? What are all the reports? What are the videos that were taught on that? Bring those people in, and now you've got a mastermind for whatever profession. So you can do that. It doesn't like you're talking about a group of phenomenal thinkers, personal development kings, if you will, and queens in there as well. But people that really have been in the forefront of personal development in that example, they're all together. So you can ask them anything in that realm and beyond, and whatever you ask them, they're gonna be putting their knowledge in. You can do that in anything with any group of people, is the point. You can bring in a Tony Robbins, you can bring in you know, I'm just trying to, I mean, Elon Musk as an example, you know, a Jeff Bezos, if you will, a Steve Jobs. I mean, you know, you might swear a lot, but it'll be pretty cool, right? But you can bring all of these people together that have accomplished great things, and for the whole purpose of helping you accomplish great things. So we're really going away from trading right now with this. So let's get back to the trading. What's that?
Yeah, I just wanted to show.
You're breaking up a little bit again, my friend.
The computer's slow. Sorry, I said I'm waiting on my thing to come up here.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely hear you when I see FinViz. FinViz.
It's not letting me switch off it just yet. It's just not. Yeah, it's not letting me switch off FinViz yet.
Where did you want to go to? Hey, Mike. What screen did you want to go to, my friend? I'll pull it up.
Euro USD 4 hour.
Euro USD 4 hour.
Euro USD 4 hour.
All right, 4 hour, and let me stream that. All right, so I don't know, do you see my window? I'm still seeing yours. Let me fix this. Let's see. Huh. Yeah, I'm still seeing your screen. All right, let me do this. I know what I can do. All right, folks, I'm bringing up the screen now. This should work. Here it comes. Great. So we're on Euro USD 4 hour, and Mike should be right back. So hopefully he'll be right back in here, and we can see where we wanted to go. But just in looking at the Euro USD, let's see if I can figure out where he was going with all of this. So, you know, we were talking about technology. We were talking about the excitement and the belief that we're going in the right direction from an economic standpoint, and that's from business owners, right? People that are out there, they're watching, they're because that's what drives the market, right? They're watching, saying, okay, business is growing, this is happening, and so they're reacting. They react very rapidly. So, and that's why the market is really, it can be fun to watch. But so in Euro USD, we're on the 4 hour right now, and we're getting closer. This has been moving up. So what it really means, and we've talked a little bit about this before, but Euro to USD. So if it's going up, the Euro is acting stronger at that time. If it's going down, like over here, the US dollar is. So when you look, now these are 4-hour segments. And let me bring this down here a little closer. So the trend has been that it was going, the euro was getting stronger, the dollar was getting weaker. All right, that was this trend right here. Now we're sort of going into a little bit of a channel, and the belief is that now it's going to start to go the other way, which that happens all the time in the markets. But it's driven by what's happening. Like a lot of this is driven by what's happening in the Middle East right now. And it could be driven by or affected by statements that are made, what's talked about, what the plans are, what we think plans are, and where things are going to go. Right? How long before the stuff in Iran gets settled? It's going to get settled. It's just a question of when, right? And what the end result is. So how does that affect things? So what Mike, I know he was planning on is he's got a mark right about here. So let me put this in here. So you can see this gold line here. That's ideally where he would like to get in. He's taking a sell down to wherever the 20 moving average is. That I know is what his plan is right now, because I'm looking at the same thing. So waiting for this to get to this back wall of this buy marker for us, and then we'll take it down, and that'll be a pretty good ride. When we look at numbers, right? We're always looking for 20 pips or greater. Let me show you. So this right here is, you can see it's 58 pips, 58.1. Okay, that's what that is. So that would be almost 3 times what we usually look for to get in a buy or a sell when we do it. So that's a decent amount of profit. And depending on the lot size that you take, that's what's going to control whether it is really profitable or just a little profitable or not, right? So, when we do smaller trades or smaller lot sizes, and I'll give you an example. If I was going to do, so I don't want to take this as a trade per se, going up or down. Let me just see how I can. Yeah, put it this way. For every pip it changes, we're talking about 10 cents. If you're at the smallest lot sizes, which is a 0.01, okay? When you go to 0.1, instead of it being 10 cents up or down, each pip is going to be worth 10 times that, okay, or $1. If you go to 1.0, each is going to be worth $10. So if it was $10 at 58 pips, and you took that as a profit, that's $580. You could take, instead of a 1.0 lot size, you could take a 10 lot size. That would be $5,800 in profit for that one trade. All right, now that's if you profited, if you made the right decision. If it goes in the other direction, well, the losses are the same. All right, if you go down or you lose 10 pips and each pip is worth $1, well, you lost $10. Right, that was what happened in the trade. If it was a lot size of 10.0 or 10, well, now we're talking, that's $100 per pip. So if you lost 10 pips, that's $1,000. Okay, so when you first start off, you're going to start off with that 0.01, maybe 0.02, 0.03, depending on how much you put in. And then as you build it up, you can go for larger and larger lot sizes. Okay, so that's how you grow and scale those investments. Okay, that's how we're doing it anyways. And again, this is not financial advice. These are not recommendations to you. This is just what we've been taught and what we're learning and what we're actually doing. So hopefully that's helpful for everybody. I don't think Mike was able to get back in. So with that, we are over time anyways. But I hope you have a great day. Make it a profitable day. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow about the same time, right around 10:15.